We are entering a major election year with the midterms and many expecting a Republican red wave, not just because people are fed up with failed Democrat policies, but because redistricting is heavily favoring Republicans. But Donald Trump may have already just declared he is going to be running for president in 2024. Not formally, mind you. Donald Trump just said in a viral video that he will be the 45th and 47th president of these United States. Now, many are wondering, how can he say that without declaring he's actually running? Because he was speaking off the cuff to some friends and didn't declare that he was actually running. It's not a formal declaration to talk smack on Instagram while you're golfing. But of course, everybody knows what it means. Donald Trump has been campaigning quite fiercely. It's 2022. We're not even in primary season, which is next year, but Donald Trump is raising massive sums of cash. Now, I've personally spoken with many of those in Trump's inner circle. They've appeared on Timcast IRL and outright said, of course, Donald Trump is running in 2024. He wasn't happy with 2020. You think he's going to back down? But Trump is going to be pretty old. I don't know if it matters. Trump's got die-hard fans, and many people are outright fed up with Democrats. So Donald Trump is entering the fray right now with $122 million in his war chest. But it's not just about Donald Trump, which I do want to focus on. It's also about this upcoming red wave where Republicans are out fundraising Democrats. Super PACs for Republicans raising way more money. In fact, even when it comes to some of Donald Trump's preferred candidates versus establishment Republicans, the Republicans are still raising massive amounts of money compared to Trump's preferred Republicans in the primary. But Republican versus Republican, they are absolutely crushing their Democratic counterparts. Suffice it to say, ladies and gentlemen, I think regular people are absolutely fed up with the Democratic Party. And I think what we ended up seeing in 2020 was Donald Trump being anti-elected. So Trump, of course, could be raising record sums of cash, but will it be enough to overcome the hatred of Donald Trump? Well, we've experienced a lot already in just a year. Joe Biden botched Afghanistan. Everybody seems to be pissed off about it. He's not solved anything related to the COVID pandemic. People are more vaccinated than ever, but we're seeing more COVID than ever. And I don't know if it's fair to blame Joe Biden for all of that, but certainly under his leadership, people are stressed out. They're pissed off. And it seems like there's no amount of hate for Donald Trump that is going to make things better for Joe Biden. We're already seeing Democrats floating the idea that they will pull Joe Biden out for 2024 and try and get someone else. Because I got to be honest, everybody seems to realize Kamala Harris ain't it either. So what does it leave us with? Uncertainty, to be honest. People don't like what the Democrats have brought us. There's no real Democrat contender for the presidency, but people still don't like Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has even floated pardons for those in January 6th. Now, that could play a role in people saying, oh, look, fascism, it's coming here to America. But I wonder if regular people are just going to snap and say, I don't care about any of that. Just bring the price of milk back down. Get our gas prices down. Get food back on our store shelves. And that's the thing about despotism, my friends. You want to be an authoritarian? You got to have the authority first. And while the machine does control a lot of cultural institutions in the narrative, they don't have the absolute power to shut down the American voter. So long as the American voter can say, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore, a Donald Trump may once again get elected. But let's read exactly what's going on with this news about Donald Trump raising all this money and the news about Trump basically declaring that he is going to be running. Not only did Donald Trump imply he'll be running, no, he flat out said he will win in 2024. And that has a lot to do with how politics is played in this country and why he's allowed to do it and how it's going to benefit him. Let's read the story. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member to help support all of our work. If you like these videos, if you like the journalism we're doing at timcast.com, become a member and you will get an ad-free experience as well as access to our members-only podcasts. We call the Timcast IRL Uncensored podcast because they're not family-friendly. We just actually swear a lot. And we talk about things that are typically not allowed on certain platforms. It's the best we can do to try and make sure there's a space for these conversations. And with your support, we will continue to have these conversations. But keep in mind, we are putting up some of these uncensored conversations for free on podcast platforms where there is less censorship. We're just trying to do our best to make sure the message can stay active and we don't get shut down. With your support, We will expand. We will launch new shows. But don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video with your friends if you really want to help out. Let's read the story from ABC News. Trump's fundraising extends massive $122 million war chest. He raised $51 million in the second half of 2021, down from $82 million in the first half. Well, in the first half of 2021, we were dealing with a lot of angry people, the elections and all that stuff. Now, it's the end of 2021. The narrative is kind of cooling off. We're entering 2022. It's midterm season. People got to be donating to members of Congress. And primary season for the presidential campaign isn't until next year. ABC News reports, former President Donald Trump announced Monday night that his political committees raised more than $51 million over the second half of last year to buttress what is now a massive $122 million war chest. Trump's latest fundraising haul is a drop from the first half of last year, this we know. It's possible that the $82 million sum Trump's team announced for the first half of last year included transferred money raised in the final weeks of 2020, though the exact amount transferred from the previous year is unclear. Trump's war chest puts him in a uniquely strong position heading into the 2022 midterms and ahead of a potential 2024 presidential run. I know they need to say potential, but let's not play games. All right, we had several people on Timcast IRL like Peter Navarro, like Steve Bannon, and several others. I'm not going to, put words in their mouths. You can watch the interviews we did with them, but basically many of them are like, yeah, Trump's running. Trump is going to run. And then they said Trump is going to win in 2024. I think it's a fair bet, to be completely honest. I'll tell you this. If you came to me right now and said, a gentleman's bet, will Trump win in 2024 if he runs? I'll say yes. But keep in mind, we are 3 years out, basically. There's a lot to be said for what that really means. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next year? For all we know, Democrats find their frontrunner, which they don't have now. I kind of don't think they will, but hey, man, a couple of years, it's an eternity. 2023 is the real year the presidential races will light up. And if if they're going to pull Joe Biden out by 2024, they're going to need to announce it this year. Keep that in mind. If Joe Biden, he's claiming he's going to be running in 2024, and if he is, okay, well, then they're not going to say anything this year. But if they're going to gear up for a primary, something big must happen this year. Keep that in mind. If they want to start lining up potentials for 2023, it's going to have to be mid-2022 when they start saying, like, here's a potential presidential, a candidate. And that means Joe Biden will have to be discernibly not running for president again. What does that mean? I don't know, man. But maybe Joe Biden just will run. I think if Joe Biden runs again against Trump, he will lose in a massive and crushing defeat. But, who am I to say? I don't have a good track record on guessing what will happen politically. Let's read more. They say the Republican National Committee also reported having $56.3 million cash in hand by the end of December 2021. In a press release Monday, Trump's Save America Political Action Committee said that the $51 million was raised by the former president's multiple committees from July 1st to December 31st. The average donation Trump received was $31, with a total of 1,631,648 donations. Notably, Trump doesn't appear to be sharing many of his donations yet. With over $122 million cash in hand, Trump says his PACs have only donated $1.35 million to like-minded causes and endorsed candidates. Remember that. It's important for the upcoming stories I want to show you based on about the midterms and how the media is framing things. Save America's filing shows that $1 million of that contribution went to the nonprofit Conservative Partnership Institute, which is led by a slew of Trump's close allies, including Mark Meadows, Jim DeMint, and Ed Corrigan. Much of Save America's money in the latter half of 2021 was spent on Facebook ads, payroll, and consulting fees for various firms, including $1.5 million paid to Tim Un's firm, Event Strategies, and $60,000 paid to former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale's firm, Parscale Strategy. Over the past year, Trump has been fundraising with numerous allies. So we get it, right? They're going to mention there's a lot of money being raised. The RNC has continued to help cover Trump's legal bills in the past few months. RNC's fundraising has dipped in comparison to the substantially larger amounts it used to report every month while it was fundraising with Trump during the 2020 election cycle. But let's talk about Donald Trump's campaign, and let's talk about that very important point that Trump is not sharing his donations yet. Now, you got to watch out for the slick media, how they try and pull the wool over your eyes and trick you. But let's start with this interesting question from Yahoo News. Why Donald Trump can say he'll be the 47th president of the United States without having to declare himself an official candidate. I just want to say outright, as I mentioned earlier, if somebody is filming me privately and I say something like, I'm going to be Superman next year, like, what does that really mean? I'm not actually declaring anything. Context is relevant. And you can say whatever you want to your friends. He did not himself make a public declaration. He was just smack talking. But here's what they say. Yahoo reports, Trump gains advantages by delaying a formal announcement that he's running for office, some experts say. Clad in a white polo shirt and red MAGA hat, Trump lined up to hit a golf ball. First on tee, 45th president of the U.S., a man off camera declares. Trump then interjects the 45th and the 47th. It's the latest in a litany of hints, suggestions, and near declarations that Trump's offered about whether he'll run for president in 2024. But Trump must make more than a few indicative remarks for the federal government to require him to officially register as a presidential candidate and begin adhering to financial disclosure and fundraising limit requirements, election experts say. There's no law against joking, bloviating, speculating, or predicting, said Brad Smith, chairman and founder of the Institute of Free Speech and a former Federal Election Commission chairman. To become an official candidate, Trump needs to put money where his mouth is. He would have to raise or spend more than $5,000 specifically in support of a presidential campaign effort to officially register as a presidential candidate according to FEC guidelines. Let me take you back in time, my friends, to a story about then candidate Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry, then not yet candidate Hillary Clinton. It was reported, it's been a while, so fact check me, it's been 7 years. But my understanding is that she did some speaking gigs for high-profile companies. I believe one was Goldman Sachs. Again, it's been a while. You can fact check me on this one. And they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Put it this way. If someone were to declare they were running for the presidential office, all of a sudden now you can only contribute $2,500. I think it went up because it goes up every year or whatever, but it's limited. Let's say Donald Trump is not an official candidate. He can come out and say, I'm going to be the 45th and 47th president. Haha, I'm just kidding. Hey, by the way, you want to give me $100,000? You see how it works? And then people will contribute money or they'll hire Donald Trump. Here's how it'll work. They'll say, Donald Trump basically says he's running. We all know he's running. We get his point. I mean, maybe there's a slim chance he won't, but come on, he's going to run. But he sends that signal out, assuring people. And then you might get a company that says, Trump, we'd like to pay you to consult for us. We'll give you $10 million. And then Trump takes it. He pays his taxes on it. And then he declares he's running. There's no way an individual or company could give him that money if he was an official candidate. So this is how politics is played in this country. It's a dirty game, but everybody does it. They're going to say, even though Trump has conducted campaign-style political rallies, raised tens of millions of dollars, most notably through his PAC, he hasn't expressly declared that these committees exist in service of his presidential ambitions. If he starts to spend money pursuing a run for office, that could trigger candidacy, Ken Gross, a former associate general counsel for the FEC, wrote in an email to Insider. Making such a statement on a golf course, possibly in jest, about becoming the 47th president doesn't quite get you there. But everybody knows, and they'll start slinging money against Donald Trump. Trump's also made some bold statements about what he intends to do. Politico reported this only a few days ago. Trump suggests he might pardon some January 6th defendants. He'd have to be returned to office in 2024 for that to happen. I don't know if he will, to be completely honest. I do not know if Donald Trump has it in him to actually pardon these people, but I don't know, man. It's hard to say I think he will, but I probably lean more towards he would than he wouldn't. I think that if Donald Trump gets reelected, or I should say if he gets elected in 2024, I have described Donald Trump as a bull in a china shop or a bull in the ivory tower. In 2016 and 2015, Bernie Sanders, the populist from the left, Donald Trump, the populist from the right, they approached that ivory tower and they said, let us in. Well, Bernie Sanders, being weak, knocked on the door and said, "You'll let me in, the people are mad." And they said, "Shut up, Bernie." Donald Trump stormed in like an angry bull, stomping about, spiraling, running up the spiral staircase, smashing the fine china and leaving all of the political elites going, "Oh heavens," as this bull rampaged about, knocking over their plans, disrupting the establishment. And they were very, very upset about it. Well, Bernie wasn't able to get in. They booted him out. He joined them and basically said, tell me what to say and I'll say it. But Donald Trump, they eventually removed. Now, if Donald Trump were to get in again, I describe this as a bull on fire. Now it's a raging bull in completely enraged, and the engulfed in flame serves two metaphorical points. One is that there's limited time for the bull to act, knowing that this is it. I'm on fire. But also that fire wreaking havoc itself. The destructive nature of the fire will also cause damage to the ivory tower. And what I mean by that is Donald Trump, if he gets in, no holds barred. He is going to want revenge on those who misled him, who lied to him, and he is going to do what he wants, when he wants, without being held back. In his first term, he was held back. He was accused of Russian collusion, the Ukrainian garbage, quid pro quo, all the lies. And Trump did as he was told by his advisors. Many people told him, don't get on these alternate social media platforms. Now he's banned. They told him not to do this, not to do that. And he listened to them. It was a mistake. I think if Trump gets reelected, he's just going to be shut your mouth to all of these people. And he's going to start banging the gavel and saying, what I want done shall be done if I'm the president. No, don't get me wrong. It'll be within the confines of the presidential office. It'll be within the confines of what he's legally able to do. But a lot of what he did in his first term was based on advice from really bad people. I mean, the dude hired John Bolton, the war hawk, who said, by this time next year, we'll be celebrating in Tehran. And then Americans were like, yo, we don't want to go to war with a nation like Iran. It's not Afghanistan or Iraq. It's massive. And it would be insane to think we'd do that. Trump made many mistakes. I don't think this time around he's going to listen to anybody. He's going to be like, out of my way. So maybe he'll start issuing blanket pardons. Maybe he'll be like Assange, get out of here. Oh, Snowden, get it out of here. Everyone's pardoned. I don't know about Assange, because I gotta admit, despite the fact that a lot of people think Trump, may actually do these things, Trump still has some establishment views. He does not like Bitcoin. He opposes it. He's the reason Julian Assange got raided at the Ecuadorian embassy in the first place. Now, that one's a big story. Donald Trump knows that Julian Assange can effectively exonerate him in the Russiagate smear and said, I don't care. If he's not going to cooperate, we're going to make him cooperate. That's a problem. That's despotic. Trump is far from perfect. But I think Trump will get in there and he'll be like, Antifa, you're done. I'm done with this. Build the wall. I'm done with this. Make it happen. January 6th. He may very well just pardon as many people as possible. Trump's hint that he might pardon people his supporters claim, says Politico, have been treated, he claimed have been treated unfairly, could become a calculus in their decisions to accept plea deals or to enter into negotiations with prosecutors. Some of those facing most serious charges grumbled about Trump's inaction in his final days in office. Thoughts captured in private messages obtained by the Justice Department, even as he pardoned dozens of their political allies. Quote, we are now and always have been on our own. So glad he was able to pardon a bunch of degenerates as his last move and ish on us on the way out. Proud Boy leader Ethan Nordian said in a message to prosecutors included in a May court filing. F you, Trump, you left us on the battlefield bloody and alone. Okay. This year is not just about Donald Trump, however. Take a look at this story from Axios. And I want you to remember what I pointed out that bit in the first story that Trump hasn't shared this fundraising yet. Trump-backed candidates confront cash wave. What does that mean, Axios? What are you trying to say? They say, some of Donald Trump's hand-picked candidates are hitting an obstacle in their efforts to purge the Republican Party of Trump skeptics. Money, lots of it. I think this is false framing. I think this is manipulative, but let me read it for you. They say, key Trump-backed Republican challengers were heavily outraised by their Republican primary opponents late last year, newly filed financial reports show. The money advantage has the potential to play a decisive role in closely watched House and Senate primary contests this midterm year. Yes, typically those who have more money do win, but we are in a different world, my friends. Social capital matters. They say, the lack of it can spell trouble for a number of candidates Trump has endorsed out of personal affinity or simply a hatred of the more moderate Republicans they're looking to unseat. They go to mention Rep. Liz Cheney more than quadrupled the fourth quarter fundraising haul of her top primary opponent. Fellow Republican Harriet Hageman Cheney's $2 million haul, her best ever fundraising quarter, came as she spearheaded efforts to investigate Trump's role in the January 6th attack. Hageman reportedly raised $443,000. This is BS. It's complete BS. Let me show you this story from Fox. Trump-backed Cheney primary challenger Hageman hauls in $1 million since launching congressional bid. Okay, well, maybe someone is manipulating the game. Fox is saying, look how much money she's raised, without pointing out that Cheney raised $2 million. Axios says, oh, the opponent can't raise enough money. Cheney's going to win. Let me break it down for you in reality. Cheney is likely raising money from Democrats, from people who don't live in the state, because of her role on the January 6th committee. That says nothing for whether or not Republicans in Wyoming would vote for her. And if you look at the polls, take a look at this from the Hill. Cheney challenger wins Wyoming Republican activist straw poll. Why should I care that a neocon establishment garbage Republican like Cheney is making money off of people who don't like Republicans and just want to see her win? What does that have to do with anything? I mean, the same could be said for AOC. For all we know, that Republicans were donating to AOC because they wanted her to win because she makes the Democrats look so awful. I mean, let me just throw out, do I have this story here? Yeah, I have this story here. AOC reveals she's quit Twitter after getting anxiety over negative tweets. Well, I can actually sympathize. Twitter does suck, but I mean, she just reflects so poorly on the Democratic Party. Now, they're going to mention this, Axios. Other Republicans who, like Cheney, voted to impeach Trump have outraised Trump-backed challengers. Lisa Murkowski, Fred Upton, Jamie Herrera Butler, John Gibbs. Sure. But are they raising money from people who just don't like Trump? In which case, Trump's got the support. And now I'll point out, ABC, when they mention that Donald Trump isn't sharing any of that money, what happens when he does? What happens when Trump says the midterms are the most important thing right now, and he drops $1 million, $2 million on each one of these candidates' super PACs or whatever? Well, then all of a sudden, how much money they raised is irrelevant because Trump is the leader of the party. And if Trump decides to give these people money and they're more popular anyway, then so be it. Keep in mind, the Republican establishment is garbage. I don't know if these challengers are the answer. I do know that Donald Trump has supported someone over Robbie Starbuck, which in Tennessee's, I believe, 5th district, which resulted in a lot of Trump supporters being like, yo, Trump is out of touch with his own base. So maybe something happens. Maybe Ron DeSantis runs. Maybe Ron DeSantis beats Trump. I got to be honest. Trump may run. I think he's got a good chance of winning. I think Ron DeSantis would win over Donald Trump hands down. But, who am I to say? Axios says, even some contests without an explicit Trump antagonist, Trump-endorsed candidates are facing an onslaught of cash. Rep. Mo Brooks, the Trump-backed Republican running for Alabama's open U.S. seat, pulled in a modest $385. Republican rival Katie Boyd Britt more than tripled that haul. She now has more than $4 million in the bank. Meanwhile, a late entrant to the race, Army veteran Mike Durant, put in $4 million of his own money behind his campaign last year. And that's crazy. Who are these people who have $4 million just run for office? Why would you want to run for office? It's just, I got to be honest with everybody. Look, you have to be a special kind of insane to have that kind of cash and be like, I know, I'm going to be a politician. I guess if you have the money and you really believe in it, it says a lot about Trump. Maybe that's it. You've got the money, you've succeeded in business, and you think to yourself, now what? And you want to get involved in government. I don't know, man. Not for me. A lot of people have jokingly mentioned I should run or, whatever. Some people may be serious, but it's absurd on its face. I never want to be involved with these crackpots. Why would I want to be in a position where I have to even argue with one of these lunatics who I know are lying in Congress? You know what I'd rather do? I'd rather just do a show reaching many, many more people and be involved in culture more than sitting in a room and trying to rubber stamp look at this. Here's a 5,000 page omnibus bill. You ain't got time to read it. Bring it in by wheelbarrow and just rubber stamp it, everybody. And that's what they do. The system is broken and we all know it. But you know what, man? People are ready for something different. Republican super PACs outraised Democratic rivals ahead of midterm congressional elections. You know what? They say elections have consequences. They do, but culture has consequences. You know, I should probably recognize that I'm ahead of the game. And I'm not saying that to brag about myself. No, I remember back during Occupy Wall Street when I was doing this live stream stuff, I was told by these journalists and these professors at universities, these J-school professors and personalities, that I had the unfortunate privilege of being ahead of the market. It meant that what I was doing was obviously more effective, more innovative, and it was working really, really well, but none of these companies were capable of adopting these techniques at the time. I was ahead of the market. So when I make a lot of predictions, maybe my issue is that I'm looking at the news. I'm reading the news all day, every day, and I can see a lot of what is to come. But my problem is that I assume it's coming too soon. Back in 2018, I was watching the culture war, and I was like, I think Republicans are going to win, maybe even a supermajority, maybe a red wave. And I was wrong. Why? Everything I was seeing, it takes a lot longer to hit the mainstream and have an impact politically. You see a story today, Joe Rogan, they're threatening to cancel him. And then you say something like, wow, certainly people should recoil from that and be tired of censorship. But the recoil probably won't reach the average person, the knowledge of these events, for a long time. And then once it's permeated the general public, people say, I'm not voting for that. That's why we're seeing today Republicans raising more than Democrats ahead of the midterms. Because the impact of what's happened with Democrats in 2018 needed to saturate. In 2017, Trump wins. Culture war. It's terrible. I said, I think with Trump's victory, 2018 is going to go Republican, but who knows? And, I thought there was a good reason to believe it could with Trump campaigning, but not enough people came out. Not enough of Trump supporters came out in the midterms. A lot of people didn't like him and they were animated. But then those people, the regular people who didn't show up, got to saturate in policies of midterm Democrats. These moderate Democrats promised kitchen table issues, and what did they deliver? Impeachment. It did nothing for anybody. The system was bogged down. We have questions about why it is our schools are failing, why it is our jobs are disappearing. And what did the left do? Impeached Trump because they're culture warriors. Regular people said, I can't believe they would do this to us. Then comes 2020. And Republicans didn't win across the board because people were animated against Trump. And that really did help Joe Biden, but not enough down ballot. Republicans still overperformed, shocking the pollsters. In blue areas like South Texas and Miami, Republicans won what no one thought was possible. So now we move into 2022. We're late to the party. I should say I'm not late to the party. I overestimated the speed at which the information would hit the average person. They sat back wondering why things were getting bad. Now they know. Now they're watching shows like this. They're walking away from mainstream corporate press that lies, cheats, and steals. And they're realizing who betrayed them. Their votes for the Democratic Party did not save them. It's not Trump, at the very least in 2019, things were great. And now people are donating to what they want. Republicans. I don't think the Republicans are going to save you. I got to be honest. I don't think it's going to solve any of the problems. But some people, they just want an alternative. From the Hill. 2 Virginia universities no longer requiring COVID-19 vaccinations after AG's legal opinion. Regular people are fed up and want their lives back. They want to pour a glass of milk into a bowl of cereal. They want to smile with their friends, go to work, make some money, hit the bar after work on a Friday night, watch the game, high-five their friends, and just sit back, relax, talk. They want to get back to normal. Now, many of these cult members, these Democrats who are wrapped up in all of this, they're tribalist. They're just wrapped up in, it's all the fault of the other, it's the other. But you're not recruiting regular people anymore. Many Democrat voters have switched parties. Independent voters are joining the Republican Party. We are seeing a major shift. Republican registration is through the roof. And now in states like, I think Florida, they now have more Republicans than Democrats for the first time in a long time, if not ever. I don't think the Republican Party is going to save you. But if you can get in some of these national populist Republicans in primary, the Republican neocon establishment shills, maybe. So as I often say, go vote locally. Know who your city council is. Why? If you don't, they'll pass ordinances in your city that will affect everything. Know who the school board is. Otherwise, they're going to bring CRT and other garbage to your schools. Vote for your state reps. Vote for your state senators. When you own the legislation in your state, you can redistrict as you see fit and potentially call a convention of states. And then vote in the primaries for these federal elections. And make sure the establishment shills can't even run. In the general, I mean. They run in the primary, they lose, and you get someone who cares about this country, who opposes war and wants to help you, working class Americans. That's the path forward. The media wants to convince you can't win. They want to convince you not to get out there and vote. The Democrats want to change the rules to benefit themselves, and Republicans have walked into those traps, but do not fall for it. If every single America-loving individual voted in the primaries, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, get rid of the uniparty, we would all be better off for it. But it's going to require you getting up, getting active, and saying at the very least, everybody please vote locally and in your primaries. I'll leave it there. If fundraising is indicative of anything, it is that Trump and Republicans are probably in for a major win, and things will get spicy. But who knows? You get complacent, you lose. Next segment's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.